Welcome to Tensor Lens, the channel where we really dig into the machinery behind tech and finance. For years, if you wanted to figure out Elon Musk's wealth, the formula was pretty simple, right? You just took the stock price and multiplied it by his share count. Well, that model is officially broken. To even begin to understand the kind of economic force he represents now, we need a totally new way of thinking. So let's start with a cool concept from physics. It's called a tensor. Now, a tensor isn't just a simple number. Think of it more like a multi-dimensional map. It's what explains how a single push in one direction can create all these complex, rippling effects in every other direction. You know, like if you press down on a block of Jell-O, the whole thing wobbles. That idea right there is the key to all of this. And that brings us to the core of what's happened. As of December 2025, Elon Musk isn't just some CEO you can track with a stock ticker anymore. He's effectively become a human macroeconomic tensor. A single move in one of his companies now creates these incredible waves of force and value across all the others. And the results? Well, the numbers have become absolutely staggering. So let's dive into Chapter 1, the $677 billion signal. This is the number that just shattered the old way of thinking and forced everybody to really ask, what's powering this economic engine? $677 billion. That's the mind-bending estimate of his net worth by the end of 2025. But honestly, the number itself, that's not even the most interesting part. The real story is the one event that caused this huge leap, an event that happened completely in the shadows, far away from the public markets. So what was the catalyst? It was a single transaction inside one of his private companies, SpaceX. A tender offer, which is basically an internal sale of shares, added a colossal $168 billion to his net worth. I mean, it happened almost overnight, completely outside the view of Wall Street, and that changed everything. Let's just look at the raw data, because it's wild. In just 6 months, from July to December 2025, SpaceX's private valuation literally doubled. It exploded from an already massive $400 billion to $800 billion. That officially makes it the most valuable private company on Earth. This wasn't some gradual climb, it was an explosive re-rating of what the company is actually worth. And this right here, this is the great inversion. For a decade, the foundation of his wealth was Tesla, a public company. But now, that's completely flipped. His private stake in SpaceX, at around $336 billion, now dwarfs his holdings in Tesla. All that old financial wisdom that says private companies are worth less because you can't sell the shares easily, yeah, for him, that rule just went out the window. All right, Chapter 2, the step function trajectory. To really get how we arrived here, you have to understand that his wealth has never moved in a straight line. It's always been this series of chaotic, explosive leaps, what we call step functions. I mean, this whole journey has been a complete roller coaster. Back in 2021, he first passed Jeff Bezos. Then came the historic Twitter drawdown, where he became the first person in history to lose over $200 billion. The recovery started picking up steam in late 2024 when he broke $400 billion as Starlink finally started making more money than it spent. And then bam, the massive step function we just saw, launching him into a completely different stratosphere. Okay, Chapter 3, deconstructing the new portfolio. So what are the actual building blocks of this insane new valuation? Let's pop the hood and really break down the portfolio piece by piece. Just a quick glance at this chart tells you the whole story of the new power structure. SpaceX now makes up roughly half of his entire net worth. Tesla, while still obviously huge, is now the second fiddle at about 29%. And the new combined powerhouse of xAI and X Corp is a really significant chunk at 18%. The center of gravity has undeniably shifted away from public cars and towards private infrastructure. First up, the behemoth, SpaceX. His stake is now valued at a staggering $336 billion. And this isn't based on hyper promises. It's driven by hard, cold metrics. Over 8 million paying Starlink customers and an absolutely relentless launch cadence for Starship. Next, you still got Tesla. His holdings there add up to about $266 billion. Now that's a mix of his direct stock ownership plus that big contested options package, which for our numbers, we've had to discount by 50% because of all the ongoing legal risk. Then you have the big AI play. His stake in the combined XAI and X Corp entity clocks in at $122 billion. The entire company's new valuation of $230 billion was really kicked into high gear by the launch of their Colossus supercomputer and a massive $15 billion funding round. And finally, you've got the other ventures. It's kind of funny to call them small because they're still multi-billion-dollar companies. The Boring Company, doing the tunneling stuff, is valued around $5.6 billion. And his brain-computer interface company, Neuralink, is sitting at about $5 billion. Okay, Chapter 4, the keiretsu ecosystem. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because if you just look at these companies one by one, you're only seeing half the picture. The crucial point is that these are not separate investments. They are merging into a single, tightly integrated, self-reinforcing industrial machine. To really get this, we need to borrow an idea from Japan, the keiretsu. It's a term for a group of companies that are all interlinked, sharing business and often ownership, all working together. It's the total opposite of a typical Western conglomerate, which investors usually punish with a conglomerate discount because it seems unfocused. In a keiretsu, the whole becomes way more valuable than the sum of its parts. And this is Musk's keiretsu in action. It's a flywheel that's starting to spin incredibly fast. Step 1. X provides a massive, real-time fire hose of human language, basically the perfect food for training AI. Step 2. XAI eats that data and builds incredibly powerful models that become the brains for Tesla's self-driving cars and the Optimus robot. And Step 3. SpaceX provides the global Starlink network that connects all of it, the cars, the robots, the data centers. Each company makes the others stronger and, crucially, less risky. So, Chapter 5, the Trillionaire event horizon. With this powerful new economic engine just humming, the once unthinkable question of the world's first trillionaire, well, it's not a matter of if anymore, it's how and when. And the path to get there is becoming structurally clear. And political tailwinds have been a massive accelerant. After the 2024 election, a wave of market optimism about deregulation, what some on Wall Street are calling the Trump trade, added nearly $100 billion to his net worth in just the last few months of 2025 alone. So, with all this insane momentum, what's the final piece of the puzzle? What's the one single event that could trigger the next massive, world-changing step function in his wealth? Well, the answer that pretty much every analyst is pointing to is a rumored IPO for SpaceX, maybe as soon as 2026. Taking the planet's most valuable private company public wouldn't just be big, it would be the largest market event we've seen in a generation. And the rumored target valuation for that IPO? $1.5 trillion. If SpaceX even gets close to that number on the public markets, his personal stake alone will launch him clear past the $1 trillion mark. He would become, by market design, the world's first trillionaire. Which leaves us with one final and pretty provocative question to think about. As we watch this completely new form of industrial power take shape, are we just witnessing a masterclass in synergistic value creation, or are we actually watching the blueprint being drawn for a new kind of 21st century monopoly? One built on the interlocking infrastructure of space, information, and artificial intelligence? That's the question we're going to be watching very closely. For more deep analysis on the forces that are really shaping our world, make sure you subscribe to Tensor Lens. Thanks for joining us.